What did you think of Guillermo del Toro's cameo in season 4? Bill Hader wasn't sure he'd be able to act, but the moment he'd named the character after Toro, that was it. And did you know that Paul Rudd had a bit of a say in the series soundtrack? This is behind the scenes on Barry. Guillermo del Toro could hardly believe it when he was cast. He'd sent Bill Hader a funny text asking, "Could I be in Barry?" without expecting anything to come out of it. These sorts of requests came in on television shows all the time. But it's rare for the writer to find the right role for them. And even rarer for the writers to name the characters after them.
It's an honor to finally meet you, Toro.
Which Bill said was his way of telling Guillermo, well, now you've got to do it. Bill was pleasantly surprised by Guillermo's acting abilities, but that didn't stop Guillermo from trying to do what he does best, giving Bill tips on how to direct. Fortunately, Bill is always willing to take advice, even from his old buddy Paul Rudd. Did you notice the song that was playing in Season 4, Episode 2? When Lon stepped into the theater, we can hear a cover of the song Desperado by the Langley School's Music Project, which was originally uploaded as a YouTube video back in 2013. This version of the song somehow wound up on Paul Rudd's radar, and when Bill Hader was struggling to find a song that would fit into this scene, Paul was quick to suggest, "Oh, you should get that choir to sing Desperado." Bill took his advice, and a classic moment was born. Upon watching the scene back, Bill said that the song was so funny and even thanked Paul for his contribution. If one thing on season 4 is for sure, it's that it was definitely a group effort. Barry gets to live his dream in season 4. Not his dream of subscribing to our channel, unfortunately, although you can do that by clicking on that red button right now. Bill Hader didn't think it would be interesting to see Barry on the run after getting out of prison in real time. Instead, he remembered a daydream Barry had back in season 1 about he and Sally and a boy taking a family picture, and so I was like, well, maybe that's what he wants. This is why episode 5 suddenly jumps forward 8 years, and why we see them on the lam in costume and all playing a character. Sarah Goldberg decided that Sally would speak in her own voice in the home.
Absolutely. I see that.
But put on an accent out of the house.
Well, then we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing.
Explaining that she's really decided she's gonna give the performance of her career, even if there's no one there to witness it. Sally's accent isn't the only thing that's changed after the time jump. Part of being on the run involves changing your hair too, which is why Sarah Goldberg had to wear a dark wig. She was impressed by just how far it went towards making her look like a completely different person, but said that the itch factor is so vivid. She wasn't alone in having to change her hair for season 4 either. Henry Winkler was asked to grow out his hair and beard, but apparently forgot about reshoots before getting a haircut. Hair extensions were added to make up for this, as well as a fake beard that Henry was absolutely terrified about, since one of my deepest, saddest nightmares is to have something pasted on my face. Fortunately, he was happy with how the beard turned out, although this is far from the scariest thing that's happened on set. The Taylor chase has to be one of our favorite moments on the show. The motorcycle chase from season 3, episode 6 wasn't shot like a conventional action scene. Instead, Bill wanted to just let the camera sit back and look at what was happening.
For the tone of the show, it needed to be strange and a little off.
The whole scene was first put together using computer animation, although stunt performers and dummies were used when it came time to shoot the scene. Stunt coordinator Wade Allen tried to encourage Bill Hader to get on a motorcycle himself, but Bill was far too scared.
Wade was like, I think we should have some stuff of you on the motorcycle, and I'm like, I am not Tom Cruise, I have no interest.
Instead, he drove a car that was occasionally pulled on a rig. The Taylor chase ends with one of the motorcycles getting hit by a truck. This would obviously be too dangerous for a stunt person to perform, and so they replaced the actor with a dummy, before driving a truck straight into it.
And for some reason, that just made the crew, so happy.
To get the shot where he actually flies through Barry's windshield, this was done in 2 takes. One with Bill Hader in the truck pretending to react to it, while another take actually got the dummy flying through without Bill inside.
And action.
Everything from there was done old school, in camera, merely by layering the takes together, but when it came to that one tattoo in season 4, they needed to feel more. more real. Which of Fuchs' tattoos were your favorite? Stephen Root is particularly fond of crosshairs on the back of his neck, explaining that it was endemic of this character that he would have a target right there on his neck. Makeup artist Leo Corey Castellano had each of the tattoos specially made and would take around 70 minutes a day applying them to poor Stephen. But he's pretty good at sitting still for things like that by this point. Stephen once played a Klingon on Star Trek that required 3.5 hours worth of makeup. He says that he likes to meditate during that time, which is probably a better way of coping than writing an entire series out of his frustrations, the way Bill did. You may already know what it's like to be good at something you don't enjoy. That was Bill Hader's experience on SNL.
I've had a weird few years.
He consistently got rave reviews on the show. Co-head writer Seth Meyers even praised Bill for the way that he taught people to love what he did rather than try to do what they liked. And yet, Bill wasn't built for the live action of the show. He would have full-blown panic attacks in the bathroom before shows, and what's worse was that he felt like he had to keep going because do you know how many people would kill for this? This eventually inspired Bill to create Barry, although he wasn't necessarily thinking that he was going to star in it at first. You may be surprised to hear that Barry wasn't created as an easy vehicle for Bill Hader to star in. After his experience on SNL, Bill really didn't picture himself working in front of the camera again. He pitched Barry with the condition that he be allowed to direct it, and it was only later that he reluctantly agreed. Oh, I guess I'll play Barry. Bill was especially hesitant to take on the part of a hitman because he has a massive fear of guns, but his vision definitely adds a lot to the show. Henry Winkler praised Bill for his ability to go back and forth between directing and starring, although he says that Bill had an annoying habit of mouthing everyone's lines because he'd written them.
Hey, that was great!
Yeah,
Oh my god, you were great!
So, on the subject of Henry Winkler, nobody was sadder than him to see season 3 delayed by the pandemic. You may have been disappointed to wait 3 years to find out what was next for your favorite characters, but Henry has a special connection to the show. While filming his final scene for season 2, Henry realized that he recognized the set they'd been working on, and that it was the same stage where he'd spent 9 years shooting Happy Days.
Oh, it ain't no trick. It's a gift.
At this point, the entire cast and crew became distracted as Henry went around pointing out where different sets and locations had been built. As cool as that must have been for him, we love the image of NoHo Hank reminiscing about Happy Days. NoHo Hank is the breakout star of Barry. He's a surprisingly fun character for a leader in the check-in mob. But did you know that a lot of the personality was actually Anthony Carrigan's idea? He said that the character was originally supposed to be attentive, just wants to make sure that everything is fixed. But when he read the role,
I just saw him as this really bright and sunny and cheery kind of guy.
This approach was so great that even though NoHo Hank was supposed to die in the series pilot, he managed to stick around right up to the final season. As showrunner Alec Berg pointed out, we'd be insane to kill that guy. He's so funny. And this is far from the only way the actors have affected the series. Like, did you notice anything interesting about Lindsay in season 3? If you pay close attention, you can see that she's visibly pregnant. Although this is never brought up in dialogue and is only ever hinted at when she seems to be experiencing pregnancy cravings for beignets. Otherwise, this pregnancy seems mostly to hint at the passage of time and as a way to write in Jessie Hodge's real-life pregnancy with her and her husband, Beck Bennett's first child. She gave birth sometime in March 2022. It's hard for us to say if Lindsay was meant to become a mother around the same time, with the series remaining silent on the matter. Which one of these behind-the-scenes details were you the most surprised by? And is there anything else we may not have mentioned? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so don't forget to make them heard in the comments section down below.